Hello again and welcome back to Ghosts of the Webway. So today I wanted to go over my list for the upcoming tournament this Saturday. It's going to be my very first tournament with the Harlequins and just go over my thought process, how I came up with the list, why I chose the units that I did, why I chose the masks that I did. Just generally, going over what it is that I've been thinking about. Now the first thing is that the tournament is structured in a very interesting way. So first of all, it is a progressive tournament. So it's a 3-round tournament where the first round is 1,000 points, the second round is 1,500 points, and the third round is 2,000 points. Within that, you have a couple of limitations. So first of all, you have to use the same warlord in all 3 rounds. And secondly, you have to build on your list from the previous round. That means that you can't take anything away or create 3 separate lists. Instead, you have to add to the list progressively, which I think is a really interesting concept. I think it challenges you to think about how you're going to build your army up. And it's really cool. It kind of blends that kind of narrative and the competitive together. And from what I heard from the tournament organizer, that was the aim. That was what he was going for. And I think it's a really great idea. So, what have I been thinking about? Well, first of all, I like fast-moving armies. If you look at my Dark Eldar list as well, I have loads of like Venoms and Razor Wings and fast-moving, disruptive units. And that's kind of what I wanted to go for with my Harlequins as well. I don't like static armies. They just don't suit my playstyle, which is one reason why I chose the army in the first place. So let's go over list number 1. So for 1,000 points, I'm taking a battalion detachment. And the detachment is Frozen Stars. And this gives me a little bit more punch in combat. That's what I'm looking at. I'm a big fan of close combat as a mechanic. I think it's a really, really useful thing to have in your arsenal. You should have strong close combat abilities. I'm not a gunline player. It's not my style. So the first thing that I've got in my battalion is, for my HQs, I have 2 Troop Masters. Both of them have Harlequin's Kisses and Fusion Pistols. And one of them is taking the relic, the Star Mist Raiment. So Star Mist Raiment's really useful against shooting armies. If I come up against demons or something in the first round, it's going to be a bit useless, but it's worth trying to put in there, and it has to be in the list if it's the one relic that you're using within that list. Then I've got 3 troops with 5 players each, 1 unit with 4 caresses, and 2 units with 4 kisses. Now, I really like the Kiss. I think it's actually a really useful weapon, particularly nowadays when you're facing lots of multi-wound units and Primaris are getting their heyday and all of the rest of it. So I want my Troop Masters to be running around with my troops, making sure that they can actually affect things the way that they should be. So in my elites, I do have a Death Jester. Why? Because he's my Warlord. There he is, right here. And he is going to have the Player of Twilight. The reason why I take the Death Jester as a Warlord is partly because I love them. They're one of my favourite units. I just think they're fantastic. And also because I don't want my Warlord to be running up the front lines and getting himself killed turn 1 or 2. I want to be denying that Warlord kill every single turn that I can. So I like having the Death Jester with the Player of Twilight because it means that I'm getting my CP regen, I'm blocking off backfield, and I can take objectives with him as well. I don't need him to do very much. I'm not expecting him to suddenly turn around and kill a Chapter Master or a Mortarion or something crazy. He's not going to do very much. He's just going to hide out the back and laugh at everyone because that's what they do. Then I've got my fast attack. I've got 2 units of 4 Skyweavers. All of them have Haywire Cannons and Zephyr Glaives. Now, they are still in the Frozen Stars battalion, which is why I've taken 2 units of 4 instead of maybe 1 unit of 6, 1 unit of 2, which you might want to do if you're running them like a Soaring Spite or something a bit more shooting based. Pretty much just so that you can up the amount of stratagems and things that you put on them. But I want my Skyweavers in this list to be quite versatile. I want them to be able to lock down whatever I need, to be able to get where they need to go, to actually have an impact in the game. And that extra attack on them is really necessary with those Zephyrglaives because they're a great weapon. And just having that extra bonus attack, as I say, makes them really versatile. They can go over and actually shoot stuff and still murder them in combat, which is great. And the last thing that I have is a dedicated transport, so a Starweaver. That's it. That's 999 points. So that's my list one. I think it's okay. I'm sure that you'll agree that there are maybe some better lists out there, but it gives me a lot of versatility in my list. And my main thing is to have enough Skyweavers, which is why I don't have so many transports. I think they are really important in my list. I think they're a fantastic unit, and I want them to be able to do a lot on the board. So I need enough of those to make sure that I actually do well. So progressing from that, moving on to my second list, I've still got a battalion detachment, or Frozen Stars, and in that I still have 2 Troop Masters, 3 troops, and a Starweaver, and now I've added another Starweaver. Makes sense, protects the troops a little bit. Both of my Troop Masters can run around with my units with kisses, and it just gives them a bit of added protection, and a little bit of extra firepower. Like the Starweaver, it's not to be underestimated. Those 6 shuriken cannon shots, they're not bad. Maybe not the best, but they're not bad. And then I've swapped it around a little bit, and I have an Outrider detachment. And in this list, I'm using the Outrider as Dreaming Shadow. The reason why I'm using the Dreaming Shadow mask for this one is because I want to get the most out of my units in this round. I'm a little bit under points. I'm 22 points under the limit, partly because I can't really fit very much else in there. And as a result, I really need every unit to do as much as it possibly can. So in that Outriders attachment, I have a Shadow Seer as my HQ option. I'm not entirely sure which spells I'm going to give him. Maybe you guys could comment or give me some advice on that one. I still have my Death Jester, and this time he's taking Curtainfall, because I love that relic, and I think it makes him at least a little bit more useful. Yes, he's still going to be hiding out in the backfield, but he can take some pot shots. I can use a stratagem to make him maybe a bit more effective, and just have fun, and as I say, sit back and laugh at everyone die, including his own troops probably. Then the last thing that I have is 3 units of Skyweavers this time, with the 2 units of 4 from before and 1 unit of 5. Again, all with hate wire cannons and Zephyrglaives. I love this unit. Everyone loves this unit. That's why you see them plugged into so many things. But particularly in the Harlequins list, I think they're so important. And that's why, as I say, I'm taking less of the other stuff, because I want to get more of those bikes in there, because they are the most versatile unit that I've got. So, moving on to the all-important 2,000 point list. So I'll run through the whole thing just so that you have a clear idea, and maybe you've forgotten what I was saying from the first list already. But yeah, again, battalion detachment, Frozen Stars. So I've still got my 2 Troop Masters. Both of them have Harlequin's Kisses. Both of them have Fusion Pistols. I still have my 3 troops, 5 players with 4 Caress, and 10 players with 8 Kisses in those 2 other units. And this time I finally have the full complement of 3 Starweavers. So all of them are going to be flying around and doing what they do best. Next I have my Outrider detachment, but this time I've chosen to keep them as Frozen Stars. I like that versatility still from my first round. I think it's important in a 2,000 point list. And on top of that, I'm also, as my HQ, taking another Troop Master, but this time with just a Harlequin's Kiss, because I didn't have the points. So he's going to be running around with the 3rd unit of troops, and of course he wouldn't be able to get in the transport if you weren't from the same mask. So that's one point, but the main point is I now have 18 Skyweavers. So 3 units of 6 with all Haywire Cannons, all Zephyrglaives, and this is the main meat of my list at this point. This is what I want to be doing the most work. And depending on my matchup, I can do lots of different things with them. I could put a unit in the Webway. I can put what's the stratagem called? Aisha's Tears on one of them. If one of them dies, I can put Prismatic Blur on them as well, so I can have units with this 3+ invulnerable save, making them really durable, and yeah, just have them flying around the place, doing what they do best, getting them into melee, as well as shooting at any tanks that we've got there. At 2,000 points, I expect to see at least a knight floating around in the tournament somewhere, so just in case I've got like those super heavies or really powerful vehicles, those haywire cannons are going to do work. They're going to really make sure that I don't get completely annihilated by something like, you know, 3 tank commanders in an Imperial Guard list, or an Imperial Knight, or some other massive vehicles. It's a vehicle meta these days in 8th edition, and you just need something to counter that. And in Harlequins, we have one of the best counters to vehicles in the entire game, and I want to make use of that. So, and to round off that 2,000 points, we have a Vanguard detachment with a Shadow Seer and 3 Death Jesters. Now, a lot of you will probably think that Death Jesters are not worth their points. I hear it a lot. I love them, personally. I really like them, and I think it's important to play the units that you like. I mean, you know, for my Dark Elder, I play Hellions as well. Sometimes, like, I have fun with them. I've actually found them a lot more effective than people say online. And here, the Death Jester, same thing. I don't expect much from them. I don't expect them to kill lots. You know, that's not the whole point behind these guys. The point behind these guys is to hold backfield objectives and to screen out the board. That's all I want them for, really. I mean, if they get the odd pot shot off, if they can lower leadership and annoy my opponent, fantastic. But I don't expect them to actually do very much except that. Just screen out the board, hold those backfield objectives, and just be annoying, basically. That's the main idea. I don't need them to do anything else. And so as a result, I like them because they're cheap and because they're surprisingly difficult to kill. Because you have the character keyword, there are a lot of snipers nowadays, but if I come up against an army with no snipers, I'm going to have a field day. If I come up against an army with 1 sniper, he might get 1 Death Jester. He's probably not going to get all of them. But what it means is that I've got my backfield covered whilst everything else runs off and kills stuff. And that's it. Those are my 3 lists. So let me know what you think. Write a comment down below. Do you think it's rubbish? Do you think I'm going to get my ass handed to me? Do you think that I could do well with it? What do you think about it? What is your concept when you think about list design, and what would you do differently, or what do you like about my list? Comment down below, like and subscribe, and as usual help me to make this the base for Harlequins players worldwide. I've been Kit, thank you very much, and see you next time.